Good morning. Happy Thursday. Welcome to Total Body Strength. Today we're going to do a few different movements. But we're going to do some upper body, a little bit of glutes and core at the end. But we're definitely going to hit our shoulders a little hard today. So we're going to do 3 rounds of this workout, 45 seconds of work, 15 seconds of rest / transition time. And I'm going to go ahead and get right into our demos here. So we do need at least 1 set of dumbbells. Always recommend 2 for when we start to get a little bit more tired throughout the workout. But we're going to start off with some Arnold presses here. So basically we're going to start with the dumbbells in front of our face. We're going to come out, up and around, over and back down. So coming down, rotating those hands as we come back down. So we want to make sure too, those elbows are nice and high. We don't want to drop them all the way down. We want those dumbbells to stay in line with our nose and eyes, rotating around. So that's the first movement. And then the second thing we're going to do here is we're going to do some lateral raises. But what we're going to do is we're going to hold one arm, come down and back with the other arm. So coming down, driving through the elbows, alternating our sides. So that's our second movement. And then third movement here, we're going to do around the world raises. So like I said, we're really hammering those shoulders first. We're getting the front, sides, and backs. So for this, we want those palms forward, dumbbells outside of the legs, come all the way up over, make a nice circle, and back down. And up, keeping that core tight, pulling that weight up. We're going to feel that more towards the back of the shoulder. So we're getting the front with the Arnold presses, side with the lateral raises, and the side and back a little bit in the front. The around the world raises is really just all off the shoulders. So that is going to be our first 3 movements. And then we're going to go ahead and make our way onto the ground on our backs. We're going to do glute bridges first. We're going to hold for 3 seconds at the top. So we want those feet hip width apart, belly button into the ground, keep that core tight, push those hips up, squeeze the glutes, 1, 2, 3, and back down. And then again, pushing through the ground, coming up, 1, 2, 3, and down. Really make sure we're squeezing those glutes. We need to remind ourselves, go ahead and place your hands over your butt. Make sure you're squeezing. And then I was about to get up, but we're going to finish out the circuit on the ground. We got glute bridge marches. So same kind of checklist here. Tuck that pelvis, push that belly button into the ground, push through those heels, and 1 leg at a time, come up into that march, pulling with the core, keeping those hips as high up as we can. So that is going to be the full workout for today. So we're going to start with our warm up here. We're going to be on the ground and we're going to be on our hands and our knees. And we're going to do a little bit of rotation to start off. So on the hands and knees here, we're going to go ahead, inhale, take the right arm in, reach through, left arm, left leg. And we're going to exhale, opening up towards the ceiling, gaze past that thumb. And we're going to inhale, reach through. And exhale, open up. And last one, inhale, reach through. And exhale, open up. You can go ahead and plant that right hand back up underneath the shoulder. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So we're going to take the left hand, inhale, reach through. And exhale, opening up. And inhale, reach through. And exhale, opening up. Getting that rotation through the neck, gaze past that thumb. Last one, reaching through, reaching the furthest this time. And exhale, opening up. We can go ahead and plant that hand, return to center. And then lastly, we're going to warm our legs up a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and do some quadruped rocks with that adductor stretch. So taking 1 foot straight out to the side, keep that pinky toe on the ground, core nice and tight, inhale, rock back. And exhale, squeeze the glute, come back up. We're going to do 3 on each side. So we got 2 more, inhale, rock back. Exhale, squeeze the glute, come forward. And last one, inhale, rock back. And exhale, coming forward. And when we finish that last one, we're gonna go ahead and switch our legs over. So putting our opposite leg out to the side, pinky toe stays on the ground, core tight, inhale, rock back. And exhale, coming forward, inhaling, rocking back. And exhaling, coming forward. And last one, inhale, rock back. And exhaling, coming forward. We can go ahead and return that knee back up underneath the hip, and we are ready to get started. So grabbing our dumbbells, we're getting ready. We got those Arnold presses coming up first, getting our timer ready here, 45 seconds of work, 3, 2, 1, and go. So we got our dumbbells, again, starting with them in front of our face. So if we drop them down, again, I always say this, whenever we drop those elbows down, we risk injuring our shoulders. So hands in front of the face, rotating up, over and around, and back in front. So keeping that core nice and tight, controlling the weight up, controlling the weight back. We're gonna feel this in our chest a little bit, in the fronts of the shoulders, and also through our core a little bit. So we're coming up. So it's very similar to an overhead press, but we're kind of coming together in the front, making sure the dumbbells don't touch. 3, 2, 1. All right. Next up, we have our lateral raises. We're gonna hold one arm while the other one works. So we're not going up and down at the same time. 3, 2, 1. So dumbbells are gonna be parallel with the ground, staying outside of our legs. Controlling up, controlling down, really driving with our elbows, making sure our pinkies are towards the ceiling. This one's really important to keep that core nice and tight too, because as we get tired, we tend to start to lean towards that side. We're to get that momentum going, and that is not what we would like out of this movement. And this is where I always say I recommend 2 sets of dumbbells. This is getting really tiring. All right, do I regret this? Maybe a little bit, but also not at the same time. 3, 2, 1. All right, shake those arms out. Whew, that was a lot. All right, around the world raises are next. So palms are gonna face forward as we come up, over, and around. 3, 2, 1. So keeping that core tight, pulling the dumbbells up, all the way back down around. We're really getting into our shoulders today. This is really tiring. This also, I mean, if you do not have light enough dumbbells to really do the movement really well, because one thing that tends to happen is, again, as we get tired, we tend to swing back and forth, arch in the back. That's going to take the shoulders out of the movement, and we run the risk of injuring our backs. So we can always do this body weight a little bit too. This is on fire here. 3, 2, 1. All right, arms get a rest. That's a lot back to back. Nice job. We're getting on the ground. We have glute bridges with a 3-second hold. We're getting ready here. 3, 2, 1. So core tight, push the ground away, hold for 3 seconds, and back down. So we're pushing up. 1, 2, 3, and back down. And again, coming up. 1, 2, 3. So it'd be a lot easier if I didn't do glutes right before this, but we're good. Holding 3 seconds, coming down. Really keeping that core tight. So it's kind of like we're zipping up through the front of our torso. Pushing our ribs down. Keeping that belly button tucked. So press the belly button into the spine. 3, 2, 1. All right, go ahead. We're going to stay here. We got glute bridge marches next. Getting a lot of glute and core work in these 2 movements, which is why I love them. 3, 2, 1. So same checklist, belly button into the ground or the spine, squeezing those glutes. So when I drive my right knee, my left glute is squeezed. When I drive my left knee, my right glute is squeezed. So making sure we're keeping those glutes squeezed, hips are up as high as we can. Control the knee, pulling through the core. So again, we're like zipping up through the front of our torso. Exhale really helps engage that core. So exhale as we drive the knees up. I think my core is still sore from last week when we did a lot of core. Great job. 3, 2, 1. All right, we're ready. We're starting back at the top. Did I miss something? I did. Oh my gosh, we're doing single leg lowering. One more movement on the ground. Sorry. 3, 2, 1. So we're gonna have our feet all the way up in the air. Lower one leg. Exhale. Use that core. So same motion here of with the marches where we're zipping up through the core, keeping it tight, exhaling, pulling through our core, not through the legs. So I do recommend having our legs nice and loose. It can be really easy, like if we try and flex our feet. I know when I do that, I tend to pull with my hips. Also making sure that as we are down towards the ground, that low back is nice and flat in the ground. We cannot fit our hands under there. So really focusing on that portion here. 3, 2, 1. All right, that is round 1. So we're gonna start back at the top with Arnold presses. I knew something was too quick. My apologies there. 3, 2, 1. Starting with those dumbbells right in front of the face. Open up, down and around. Making sure, keeping those elbows in line with our shoulders, maybe a little bit lower than the shoulders, but we do not want those dumbbells to let the elbows drop. So we're keeping those shoulders engaged the whole time. Controlling up, controlling down. Yeah, making sure that when we get to the top, if we notice that our back is arched in order to get the weight up, that means the weight is too heavy. We really want to be nice and flat there. 3, 2, 1. All right. Next up, we have lateral raises with the hold. So we're gonna be holding at the top. Get a nice shoulder burner in here. 3, 2, 1. So hold at the top, elbows towards the ceiling here. Arms are slightly out in front. So my arms aren't straight out to the side. When we do that, we put a lot more pressure on the shoulder joint and it's a little bit more uncomfortable. But if we bring them out in front a little bit more, we're really gonna focus on the medius part of that shoulder. So that's gonna help us really engage the area that we want to. Pinkies up towards the ceiling. So what I mean by that is if you notice, as I drive the weight up, I'm leaning with the elbow, but my palm is facing behind me. So that's what we want to go for here. Core nice and tight. 3, 2, 1. All right. Around the world raises coming up next. And then we're going to give our upper body a break. Doing these all back to back is a little much, but I wanted to push us today. 3, 2, 1. So core nice and tight, all the way up and around and back down. So making sure, keeping that core nice and tight. Dumbbells again, slightly in front, making sure, because if we come all the way to the side, we're gonna put our shoulder at risk for injury. Don't want to do that. We want to protect the shoulders, be in that range of motion where we're activating the muscles the best. We need to go nice and slow to really feel it in those shoulders. Definitely do that. Another thing that helps is keeping that core tight. Really brace yourself. So push that core out. Pull from the core. 3, 2, 1. I think I say that a lot, to pull through the core to help our arms and our legs lift more weights. This is a good time to practice that in that movement. All right, we got glute bridges coming up next. 3, 2, 1. So keep the core tight, tuck the pelvis, zip up through the core. We're holding for 3 seconds at the top. 1, 2, 3, and back down. Again, if you're not sure, if you're keeping your glutes squeezed, feel free. Just place your hands there. Sometimes that tactile part can help us really focus on making sure our glutes are engaged here. Great job. Keeping that core tight. Keep pushing. We're almost there. 3, 2, 1. All right. Shake out the legs a little bit. We got marches and single leg lowering. Then we're going to go through one more time. It's my quad so tight today. All right. 3, 2, 1. So belly button into the ground, lock it in, push those hips up, pull through the core. So kind of similar to the glute bridges, if we need to make sure we're activating the core, you can always place those hands where we need to pull from. Exhale and come back up. So just giving us that reminder. But also, again, want to keep the opposite glute nice and squeezed. So that way we can keep those hips up, driving those knees up, using the core. Great job. Almost there. 3, 2, 1. My goodness. My glutes are on fire. All right. We got single leg lowering for our last movement here. Getting some nice core work in. 3, 2, 1. So legs in the air, coming down. Exhale, lifting. So same thing. Pull through the core. If you need to place your hands there. So remind yourself to use the core and not your legs. Definitely recommend moving slower if you are feeling that in your hip flexors. So if we feel that in our hips, we can always, again, take a few seconds, kind of stretch it out a little bit, bring those legs right back up, keep them loose. Really focus on the core. Making that low back stay in the ground. 3, 2, 1. All right. We got one more round coming up, and then we're going to cool down. We can get on with the day. So we're going to go ahead, stand on up, Arnold presses. 3, 2, 1. Out in front, all the way up, over and around, and back down. So keeping that core tight, making sure that we're not arching the back when we come up. Breathing through the movement. Great job. Fun fact, these are named for Arnold Schwarzenegger himself. Not sure if he came up with them or if they were just named after him, but I would think that he came up with them. Not because he was an actor or a governor, but for the bodybuilding aspect. 3, 2, 1. All right. Next up, we have our lateral raises. So holding at the top. Getting ready. Last time doing these. 3, 2, 1. This is the toughest one to really hold through, but we're doing great. We're pushing through. This is really going to get our delts firing here, our delts growing. One important thing to remember too, that as we're doing this, we really want to pretend like we're cracking an egg or squeezing an orange right between those shoulder blades. And that's going to help us keep everything down and back so we can pull with the shoulders versus pulling with any other muscle. It also can be a little bit, I'm leaning. It can help just with our posture as well. To hold that muscles like that. So it's like an isometric movement there. 3, 2, 1. All right. Shake the arms out. I'm going to have my arms going to hurt the rest of the day. All good. All right. We got our around the world raises coming up. 3, 2, 1. So we got this. Arms all the way up, over and around. and back down. And definitely a good thing I did not train shoulders today, but we're going to see how that feels for tomorrow for shoulders. Exhaling, using the core, pulling from the core. So we brace ourselves. So it's kind of like we want to use that diaphragm, pull those rib cage down, exhale and lift. So that's a little bit on how to use the core. It's definitely takes a long time to train the core to be able to do that. That is why we do a lot of pillar strength things. 3, 2, 1. All right, we're done with the dumbbells. You can set those down. We got 3 more movements. We're halfway down with this round. Glute bridges, holding for 3 seconds at the top. 3, 2, 1. So push to the ground, keep that core tight. 1, 2, 3, and back down. And push it again. 1, 2, 3, and back down. Keeping the core tight. Again, if you need to squeeze those, or if you need to place your hands on your glutes to make sure you are squeezing them. Another thing is really pushing that whole foot through the ground activates the glutes the way we need them to in order to be able to push them towards the ceiling. So we don't need to necessarily squeeze the glutes and lift. We want to really drive our whole foot into the ground. That's what engages the glutes. Keep them pushed in the ground as we hold. 3, 2, 1. All right. Same thing goes for glute bridge marches. Really drive the whole foot into the ground. It's going to help us activate those glutes when we need to keep one activated here. 3, 2, 1. So we're going to tuck our pelvis, butt to belly button. Keep that locked in. Hips towards the ceiling. Try and keep them as high as we can. In this movement too, it's really easy to start to feel it in your back. When that happens, that means that the pelvis is now tucked. So if our butt is down towards the ground, that's all of our low back. So we want to push the butt towards the belly button, keep that locked in with the core, and then we march. So this is a great way to train the pillar, shoulders, hips, and torso, but really our whole core from the front and the back. So it's super important for all movements in and out of the gym. 3, 2, 1. All right. Last movement coming up. Single leg lowering. And then we'll cool down and be done for the morning. 3, 2, 1. So one leg at a time. Keep that belly button pushed into the ground. Exhale as we come up. Really keeping those legs nice and loose. Great job. Really exhaling as we come up. Using that core. You can always place those hands on your core to make sure that you're using it. Pulling up, exhaling. Keeping that low back in the ground. We're almost there. Only a few more seconds. 3, 2, 1. And that is going to be it for our total body strength workout. Nice job. We're going to go ahead, grab a sip of water if you need it. And we're going to go ahead and get into our cool down. So we did a ton of shoulder work. So that's really what we're going to stretch out here first. So what we're going to do is we're going to thread the needle here. So very similar to our warm up. I'm going to start with my right hand here. And we're going to reach through in between left arm, left leg. Keep that arm on the ground. Bring the head towards the ground. We're going to push the hand into the ground. Palm up. Pull away with the upper back. My head won't go on the ground because of my bun. When we're really stretching this out, I'm just going to put my hand here instead. So we're stretching out the upper back here. Nice big deep breaths. On our next breath, we're going to go ahead and take the left hand. We're going to wrap it all the way up and around, tucking it into the opposite side hip. So it's like we're down here. We're nice and twisty. Elbows towards the ceiling. We're opening up our chest and shoulders with the hand that's wrapped around. And then we're opening up our back and our traps and our rear delts, so the backs of the shoulders. through the opposite arm. We're gonna do one more breath here. And once we finish that exhale, we can take our hands, place them back up underneath the shoulders. And we're gonna go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. Oh my goodness, Siri's talking to me. So we're gonna take the opposite hand and we are going to, thank you, Siri, I didn't need you there. So we're gonna take the left arm, reach in between right arm, right leg, push the back of the hand into the ground, pull away with the upper back. Nice big deep breaths into the chest. And on our next breath, we're going to take the right hand, wrapping it all the way up, over and around, elbow towards the ceiling. We're opening up the chest with that aspect too. So we're getting all aspects of the shoulder in this stretch, which is awesome because we got all aspects of the shoulder in our workout. So we're really going to help all of that kind of relax, cool down, hopefully, prevent some soreness there. Nice big deep breath. And we can go ahead and exhale. And as we exhale, we can bring our hands back up underneath our shoulders. And last part of today, we're going to end with some child's pose. We're going to do a couple breaths here. So we're going to take those knees a little bit wider than hip width, rock those hips back, walk the hands forward, forehead, chin, or cheek to the ground. So we want to reach out as far as we can. That's going to help open up our back, our upper back a little bit. And when our knees are a little bit wider, we're going to open up our hips and our low back. So we want to inhale nice and deep into the belly. Feel those hips expand. And exhaling, sighing away the tension, really letting our whole body sink into the mat. So the armpits are sinking into the mat. Our hips are sinking into the mat. It's going to just let us fully relax. And we're going to do one more deep breath here. And whenever we are ready, we can gently come out of that, returning onto our hands and our knees. And feel free to stay on the ground or return to seated, kneeling, or standing. But that is going to be all the time for today's class. So thank you for joining me. We do have a few more classes today. We got exercise with Exos at 12. We got dance with John at 12:30. We got a stretch break at 11. We got stretch and stability at 4 with Quinn. And then starting next week, we do have a new class, 4 p.m. with Beth. It's going to be core strength and meditation. So definitely recommend that class. I know I will be there next week so I can get some meditation, stress relief, and get the mindset reset a little bit too. So thank you so much. Great job. And I will see you soon.